Hey everybody, welcome to the Q&A session. Today is October 6th, 2021. I'm Mark Annenberg. Kristen Kane is with me tonight. You're going to hear from Kristen in just a little bit. So I think most of you have probably attended a Q&A before. Certainly you can make a comment and let us know if you have not. So I'm just going to quickly skim over as a reminder what it is that we do, what the purpose here is of the Q&A. We like to make ourselves available to answer questions. We like to make ourselves available to help you learn, help you stay on pace to build your trading business. We have options trading education. We have futures trading education. We have a live trading room where you can pop in and you can learn a little bit more. You can ask questions in real time. And we also support the adaptive entry system, which is our software for identifying when to get into trades, when to exit out of trades. We primarily trade the NASDAQ 100 futures during the day, and we also then trade some options using the same adaptive entry system signals. We're working on the Aurora system. We're very close to being to a point where we would like to release that to those of you who are interested in participating, and we continue to work on our auto trading tool, which is what we refer to as CycleBot for futures trading. So the personal trading plan is something that we developed, and I am passionate about every single trader should have it. We've priced it at a point where it's very, very reasonable. It's a very low priced item that you can get from us, which will help you plan your trading. The personal trading plan was designed so that at the end of each day, you can enter in your personal trading performance, whether it be winning day or a losing day. And the personal trading plan is going to forecast for you what your potential income is over a 12-month period based on your current run rate. So if you're 3 weeks into a 52-week plan, or you're 3 months into a 52-week plan, the the personal trading plan is capturing all of that information. It's calculating some averages and making some assumptions that you will continue to trade reasonably close to the same run rate that you've been trading. It projects forward and tells you what your potential income could be. I think it's extremely important that you have the personal trading plan as part of your trading business and that you update it at the end of each day. So we're all about learn to trade, trade to earn. As I mentioned, futures education, options education, adaptive entry system. That's our software. Live trading room is available for those of you who have an adaptive entry system subscription, and then the personal trading plan, which I just mentioned. If you're interested in learning more about any of those, you can find out more at optionsmoneymaker.com/investor2. So the way I'd like to actually start out, by the way, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. But the way I'd like to start out is I'd like to ask a question. And for those of you who are interested in participating in this, question number one, when you come to the market each day, what's your goal? Do you have a profit goal in mind? And if so, what is it? And if you could state that in terms of points, and considering the NASDAQ 100, which is $20 per point, how many points of profit would you be delighted with on a daily basis? So if you want to participate, let us know. And the second question is, what are your preferred times of trading? Like, what would ideally be your start time, and when would you like to be done trading for the day? And if you could state that to me in Eastern time frame, that would be really beneficial. I'm curious to know what your goals are. I know what we assume people can do with the system. And so let's see what kind of responses we get. So just, okay, so Paul is saying he has a 20-point goal, sometimes may stick around for 25 points, and he prefers to trade starting at 8:45, which is basically when we have committed to having the live trading room open. And he'd like to just be done when he hits his 20 or 25, whether that be an hour or maybe 3 or 4 hours. Drew is saying his goal is 30 points, and he trades 9:30 to 4. All right, 30 points. Chris is saying 20 points. Like to keep it 9:30 to noon. Michael's saying 30 points. Starts about 9:15 to maybe 11:30, but he will start at 8:15 on the days where there's a lot of news at 8:30. Montana Mike, hey, good to see you here, Montana. 25 to 30 points a day, 7 to 10. All right, that's awesome. Kimberly's saying she's new, haven't done anything yet, but likes the format of the AES 20, where there's a 20-point profit target and a 60-point hard stop if you have a losing day. Kevin's saying 20 points, 7 to 9:30. That's a nice work day right there, Kevin. 7 to 9:30, 2.5 hours. Mario is 20 points per day. Would like to trade from 8 to 10. So what I'm seeing pretty consistently is what we've recognized here in the live trading room is, and Richard's saying he's new, but 30 points, 7 a.m. start, which is 10 a.m. in Australia. Glad to have you here, Richard. So what we've noticed is that about mid to late morning, people really start to leave the live trading room. And what you're doing for me is you're confirming exactly what we had suspected, that each of you is looking for, let's just say, somewhere between 20 to 30 points. And generally, some of you starting as early as 7, but pretty much, I think with one exception, I would say about 7 to 11 is the time frame. And that's really great information, because I think you're going to find, I'm going to share a couple of things with you, that the data supports exactly what you are trying to achieve there. All right, Kimberly, I see that. Would love to help you with that. Would love to help you with that. So, Kristen, you want to say hi?
Hello, everybody.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you? Feeling much better. Been a little down, a little sick, but I am much, much better now.
That's good. Good to hear. We need you, Kristen. We need you.
I need to be here.
Yes, you do. One more. Neil is saying 7 to 11 Central Time, so 8 to noonish. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share a couple of things with you, and I want to reinforce kind of a summary of what you all have been sharing with me. So if I take a look at the AES performance tracking that we've been doing now for about 5 quarters. So we've got a year and a quarter. These are trading days. We've got a year and a quarter in our database. And we can take a look at different start times. So those of you who like to start somewhere around the same time that we typically open the live trading room, and if you want to finish, say, at 11, okay? In the last 5 quarters, 845 to 11 has earned about 4,200 points. Now that's pretty strong. It's $20 a point. But if I look at the daily summary, what I mostly want to look at, so let me go back here just for a minute. I want to be very, very clear about this. We track every trade. Before Erin left temporarily to have her baby, and now Kristen, no, Kristen isn't having a baby. I'm talking about tracking. You're not, right, Kristen?
Oh my God, no.
Okay, just double checking. No, I was talking about Erin was very, very diligent about making sure that every single trade was recorded every day. You can see the different dates down here, and we've got everything recorded every single day. So we know what the performance is. And that is the full time frame performance. But here's really what I want to share with you. The way we have this designed is we can put in any time frame. We can put in any set of signals from the adaptive entry system. And we can take a look at what the maximum profit was that day or what the maximum loss was that day. So here's an example, okay? Like today, the maximum profit between 8:45 and 11 was 50 points. At the end of 11 o'clock, that time frame, at the end of that time frame, we actually finished with 30 points. So what happens is this column tells us what the maximum we achieved was, and it tells me that the majority of you who responded to my questions would be long gone. So here's a great example right here. On Friday of last week, in the 8:45 to 11 timeframe, we earned a maximum of 50 points. 50 points, that's $1,000 of profit per contract. By the end of the 8:45 to 11 timeframe, we were only at 10 points. All right, still positive. 10 points is $200. I'd rather have the $1,000. Those of you who are looking for somewhere between 20 and 30 points, which the majority of you are, would have been done. You would have been done early in the morning. Maybe you're only done within an hour or an hour and a half, and you have satisfied your trading objective for that day, and you can move on to something else for your day. There are other situations. You can see lots of examples. Here's one. We hit 30 points of profit. By the end of the 8:45 to 11, if you traded the entire time frame, you're down 35.25 points. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is I've really been trying to emphasize, especially recently in the live trading room, the importance of knowing what your target is, knowing what your goal is, using the personal trading plan to understand what your goal is for the day. And by knowing what your goal is for the day and having the personal trading plan then forecast your run rate performance forward for 12 months, you have a reasonable idea of what your income could be for a 12-month period. So let's just take a look at, this is online, by the way. Everybody can access this, whether you're a client or not. You can take a look at our performance, but this is a snapshot of personal trading plan. So in this particular case, this is the 9:30 to noon category. Where did that just go? Okay, hold on a second. I may have to come back to that. It might need a refresh. Hold on just a second. There we go. So this is the wrong one. There we go. Okay, so this is 9:30 to noon. Okay, 9:30 to noon, taking all of the AES signals with the exception of fractals. And what this personal trading plan says is a few things. I won't go through it in great detail. I think most of you are familiar with it, have been here before. And if you're not, certainly ask a question. We're happy to respond. But this account starts with $5,000. The run rate that we have achieved by trading from 9:30 to noon is 20.48 points on winning days and minus 49.89 points on losing days. And using that run rate going forward, including everything that is in blue, which is all of our history, that history covers the most recent 13.2 weeks. So for the last 13.2 weeks, we've been averaging 20.48 points a day on winning days and minus 49.89 on losing days. Start with $5,000, using that run rate and telling our personal trading plan that we are willing to scale up to as many as 3 contracts. You may choose to do that or not. That gives us a $76,000 income over a 12-month period. That is the projected income. Now, if we look at the 8:45 to 4, which is AES signals and fractals, using the AES 20, which is 20 points of profit as our target. If we hit 60 points of loss, we stop. The run rate is for the last 39.2 weeks, again, starting with $5,000, 33.97 points on winning days, minus 83.32 on losing days. It's $144,000 income. One of the reasons I really want to share this and drive it home with you is because none of us as traders are immune to the emotional impulse and reaction. It's a reaction, it's not a response, but emotional reaction to losing days and losing trades. Kind of get discouraged, like, oh God, why did that happen? It's a great signal, it's perfect, but I lost on it. All right, but that's just part of the game, okay? This is forecasting for a 52-week period, which we only have a few weeks left, another 12 weeks or so, $144,000 income. Now we're pretty close to 52 weeks, so I don't think that's going to change a lot. That's having started with $5,000. And it does say 8:45 to 4. There are going to be days where you're going to trade longer if you want to stay the course and achieve your 20 or your 60. But when I showed you the tracking performance, this is 8:45 to 11, not 4 o'clock. It's 8:45 to 11. And look at all of the days where you're done by 11 o'clock. There's a lot of those days where you're done earlier. Kristen and I are trading the Aurora system, which we'll be releasing here in the next few weeks. And there are days where we're done at 8:30 or 10 o'clock and we're done. That's it. We've hit our goal. We don't really need to trade anymore. Each time you place a trade, you run risk. Each time you place a trade, it takes more time. So we are wanting to support you in building your business for you to achieve financial freedom as well as time freedom. You don't want to be glued to your computer all day long. Periodically maybe you want to do that if you live in the north and it's a cold, snowy day and you don't want to go outside, maybe this is what you want to do. But you don't want to be confined. That's really what you want. You want freedom of choice. And the live trading room, I think that's just a duplicate there. So the point is, you can do extremely well starting with $5,000 if you have some skill, if you know what you're doing, and if you use the personal trading plan. All right, Kristen, do we have any questions out there?
We actually do have a question, just talking a little bit about the personal trading plan. Drew is asking two-part question. Can explain how to use the 3 columns on the personal trading plan: the percent of balance, percent of actual, percent, and daily risk. Can you explain that in more detail? So I'll let you do that first.
Sure. Okay. So the percent of balance is the most important one. The percent of balance is saying when you're trading NASDAQ 100 futures at the broker that we trade at, Infinity Futures, each contract that you trade has a margin requirement of $500. So what that means is if you only had $400 in your account, you couldn't trade a single contract because it requires a margin of $500. If you had $1,000 in your account, you could trade 2 contracts because you need a margin. You have a margin requirement of $500 per contract. So what we do in order to manage our risk is we assign a percentage of the total balance of the account to what we are going to allocate to contracts. We typically default to 10%. So we say 10% of the balance of the account is available for contract margin. So if I had $10,000 in the account and 10% of 10,000 is 1,000, I could trade 2 contracts. You can see here it scaled up to 2 contracts. So that's what that is for. I would not pay a lot of attention to this column. We don't really use that column, but it's just telling you what the actual percentage is of your margin risk based on the balance. But I don't pay a lot of attention to that, so don't get too preoccupied with that. And then the risk limit is intended for you to, let me back up just a minute. This was designed specifically for the way we trade with infinity futures. With infinity futures, you can set a daily risk limit, meaning if you were to hit a certain loss level, your DOM, your trading platform, basically shuts off any positions you have, closes any positions you have, and you're kind of done trading for the day. That's a disadvantage if you don't really know what you're doing. That's an advantage if by some quirk you got caught in a position that had an unusual move. It's a safety valve. It's a protection that you don't get clobbered, okay? And it's also giving you an opportunity outside of market hours to plan and think about what that risk limit should be. In this case, it doesn't influence any calculations in the rest of the spreadsheet. It's really just saying, what are you willing to allocate in terms of risk? How much are you willing to lose? So in this case, we're willing to lose up to $500. I think that's a little tight personally if you're going to trade successfully, but it's calculating that you can trade and lose up to $500, but you can't lose more than that. So that's what that's for, but use it as a planning feature that says outside of the emotion of the market, plan what you want your risk limit to be set at. If I'm trading a $5,000 account, I'm probably going to generally have a $1,500 risk limit. It would be unusual based on what we see, would be unusual to lose $1,500. And if it happened on your very first trading day, that would be also unusual, but it wouldn't knock you out of the game. You know, if you've accumulated, profits and your risk limit is $1,500, that shouldn't be a problem. Once you start scaling contracts, you need to think about increasing your risk limit.
Right. And then he had a second part to that question about the trading plan worksheet. If some of the formulas have gotten overridden, is there a way to reset the plan?
Not easily that I know of. What I would say, Drew, is if you have mistakenly overwritten some things, just email Dorothy and she can just give you a fresh start.
I know for my trading plan, I also save a copy as like a master plan so that, and then I have another version that I enter into. So if I mess up the formulas, I can always go back to my original.
I've done that before, and which is why I'm grateful Aaron and Kristen are here.
All right. We do have a question from Kevin about is there a Aurora performance sheet?
Yeah, we have Aurora performance sheet. I showed this just a minute ago. This is the daily summary, and it's very similar to what I discussed where, we'll have some losing days trading the entirety of our primary tracking time, which is 7 to 2. We do track from 7 to 4 also, but we, almost always see profits well ahead of the end of day performance. So it's very similar. It's just that the overall profit potential on Aurora is a bit more, I'd say significantly more than AES, which is why we're working very diligently to get to a point where we're comfortable releasing it.
Kimberly has a couple questions. The first question is about the AES education, the number of videos that we have out there. She's asking, do you have any recommendations if only interested in AES recap on fractals and the infinity dome?
If only interested in AES, recap on fractals and Infinity Dome. I don't think we isolate it that way. There are a couple of videos out there that we did for an overview of trading the Infinity Dome. But there is some really good education on AES overall. And we don't, I believe, isolate only fractals in there. It's just part of the overall education. And I know there are several videos out there, Kimberly, but if you really want to build a trading business, and you mentioned in an earlier comment what one of your goals is, I would invest some time in going through the videos. It's going to give you a really good, strong overview, and then spend some time in the live trading room while you're monitoring your own charts, and ask questions as you go.
Mark, Kimberly's also asking, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the desktop version of Trading View. Actually, I'm wondering, Kimberly, the question is, what's the difference between the web and the desktop version of Trading View? I'm wondering, Kimberly, do you mean of Infinity? Because Trading View is a website, or are you familiar with the desktop version?
I don't think there's any difference. Are you asking about TradingView or the trading platform, or the Infinity Futures trading platform? You're saying you can only get access to your account by selecting a link under access instructions. So, well, first of all, I'm assuming, Kimberly, you do have a TradingView account. Is that a true statement? It means that you would be paying anywhere between $20 and say $45 a month, depending on your level of service. And then, do you have a subscription to the AES software? Because I'm trying to determine if you're asking how to access. Okay, then if you have your AES subscription, have you loaded all of the, okay, all right. Did you get the welcome letter with the instructions on how to set up your AES software? Okay, go through that in detail. That is, Aaron created that as a step-by-step guide to go from setting up your TradingView account and then setting up your charts. Most everybody who has adopted the software goes through the step-by-step instructions. And so I'm very confident that it's just a matter of following the steps and filling in the blanks where you may have blanks right now. Kevin was asking on Aurora if we have a 7 to 11 daily summary, 7-11 daily summary. Yeah, so you can see what the points are here, 7 to 11. We are typically trading 7 to 2. We made a change. We were initially trading 7 to 11, but we made a change. And the change was a result of the data that we had collected. Hold on a second. I think I was on the wrong. Oh, I think I was on the wrong one. Sorry. I was on the wrong summary. So, like I said, we've been collecting data. We've actually put the data in our tracking for the last 52 trading days. And we initially started trading 7 to 11. and found that based on the data that it was much more lucrative for us to be trading 7 to 2. But 7 to 11 is about, just rounding down, about 40 points, $800 a day. That's about 40 points a day. And 7 to 2 is about 60 points a day. So we found that there was value in continuing to trade. 7 to 4, interestingly enough, is about 1,000. So anyway, good numbers, good strong numbers. What was today, Kristen? 80 some odd points. Sorry, 104 points.
Yeah, we broke 100.
100, yeah, 104 points. Yeah. So that was pretty strong today, I would say. So Paul has a question about trading options. You can trade options very easily using the AES signals. Now, we're just actually starting to gather data. I've been looking at Amazon and a handful of other stocks now for months, but we haven't committed the time to track the trades in detail like we do on our NQ trades, 5-minute AES, and then Aurora. But we're starting to work towards that detail tracking. But what I do find with options, so those of you who like to trade options, is trading at the money options about a week out, because I typically am not going to hold overnight. So I don't need to go out 2 or 3 months like some people feel you need to with options. I'm not going to be suffering through a lot of time value decay because I'm not going to hold the trade overnight typically. I want to take all of the risk of a big contrary move to my directional bias. I want to take all that off the table. So at the money, typically a week out, and I'm typically looking at 30-minute and 5-minute charts. So the AES signals are all the same as what you see on the NASDAQ. There's consensus signals, there's momentum signals, there's continuation signals. There, I don't have the signal out here, but you can see the second blue bar is the trend signal, second red bar is the short trend signal, etc. Same thing on the 30-minute. Now, I don't have all of the AES signals set up with alerts because what I'm really looking for are trending trades. So it could be a trend signal or a trend bias signal or a trend continuation signal. But if you were to just take your AES charts and pull up Amazon and just scroll back, even just looking at a 30-minute chart, you're going to start to understand why I think it is an enormous opportunity. And we're going to incorporate a handful of stocks into what we're doing here in the near future after we roll out Aurora, because there are some things that Aurora helps with and just basically makes AES a turbo booster in terms of profits. So with Amazon, I'll just give you a little tidbit here. If you're an options trader, look at a 30-minute chart, use a 50 delta sometime in the next week. Amazon options are typically Friday expiration. So I'll trade Friday through Thursday using the next Friday expiration. And then I move out to the next week on Friday. I don't want to trade same day options. And then just look at your trend bias signals. Trend bias signal here came on to go short on Amazon at 10 o'clock on September 28th, the morning of September 28th. And what you're looking for is Amazon to move, I'm going to say 15 to 20 points, depends on how conservative you desire to be. If the stock moves 15 to 20 points, your 50 delta option is going to move $7.50 to $10 of profit. If it moves $10 of profit, one contract of an option is $1,000 of profit. That is equivalent to 50 points of profit on the NASDAQ 100. So it's fairly easy to trade both AES on the NASDAQ and options on Amazon if you choose to. And of course, there's S&P 500, the cash index, very similar. I wouldn't use $10 as my profit target, but you have to kind of figure out what your profit goal is. There's the Russell 2000. We also look at Bookings. Bookings is a great stock for trading trend bias signals. So here's a trend bias to go long. Look what happens to Bookings. Here's a trend bias to go short. Look what happens to Bookings. Here's a trend bias to go short. Look what happens. There's also Google, Netflix, Shopify, and Tesla. Those are my primary watch list items. There's a few others here, Chipotle Mexican Group, Apple, and then a few ETFs that I like to pay attention to, the Qs, IWM, SPY. I pay attention to the VIX, but then there's a few other stocks. But the big movers are the Amazon, Bookings, Google, Netflix, Shopify, and Tesla. Those are the big ones. And frankly, you don't really need more than that. If you want to have 100 stocks on your watch list, that sounds exhausting to me. That doesn't sound like something that would be fun or anything I'd be interested in doing. Here's my point. If you understand how to use the adaptive entry system, then if you have the interest and an understanding of options and you want to do that, then broaden your horizons a bit and trade it on options. You're going to have winning trades, you're going to have losing trades, but you're going to find on stocks like Amazon and Booking that the signals are pretty strong. When we introduce Aurora to you, you're going to find that Aurora will frequently, this right here, these are Aurora signals. Aurora will frequently get you into the trade ahead of the trend bias. So it's a slight advantage in terms of a 30-minute chart. It may get you into the trade 30 minutes earlier than it does with just the AES trend bias. Either way, it is an outstanding opportunity. See, look at this trade right here. This came on September 29th at 12 o'clock. You can see the price values here on the bar. The bar opened at 33.21. That's the stock, 33.21. And on that 30-minute bar, it moved down to 3,300. So it moved 21 points. 21 points at a 50 delta is just over $10 of profit. $10 of profit on a one contract of an option is $1,000 of profit. We have people who are trading Amazon. We have people who are trading the AES signals on Amazon. And I think you're going to be delighted when we release Aurora, because you're going to find that it just adds a little bit more profit opportunity to your trades. And here's a great example right here. Here's an Aurora signal to go long. And then this is my last comment on this. Here's an Aurora signal to go long. This happened at 1 o'clock on the 27th of September. The stock moved from 33.67 on that bar to 33.91. There's your $10 of profit. The actual AES signal didn't come on until 2.5 hours later, and it didn't give you the profit. And I would have taken a loss on that because I'm not going to hold overnight. And if I was long, this is why I don't want to hold overnight. You can have gaps up or down on these stocks. If you have a gap to the upside, it's a huge profit and you think you're a hero. You have a gap to the downside, you have a big loss that you don't really want. I'd take the trade-off at the end of the day, and I'm not going to risk the gap overnight. But this is a great example right here, just kind of scanning back through. Here's another one that is a Aurora signal to go long, and 33.22 moved up 22 points. There's your $10 of profit. Never had a AES long signal in there. So Aurora is going to add more profit opportunity and more value to your trading if you choose to trade options in addition to futures. What we're trying to do is to help you build your trading business, trade it the way you want to trade it. Some of you will only trade futures. Some of you may trade a variety of futures, not just the NASDAQ. Some of you want to trade futures and options, and some may only trade options. Doesn't matter what you want to trade. These signals, whether it be AES or Aurora, are going to be your guide. So their first mission is to really learn how to effectively trade the signals. We haven't done any of this trading yet. I think I've said on this call before, I have no idea personally how to trade Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I'm sure it's not complicated. It's just that I've never traded it. But it doesn't matter to me. If there were 1,000 people of the age group that are typically trading Bitcoin in a room, I would tell them, I can't tell you how to trade it. You can learn that somewhere else, but I can tell you when to trade it. And right here, here's the same signals. Here's the AES signal on Bitcoin to go long, and look what happens to Bitcoin as it moves higher. The Aurora signal came on just before that, 12 o'clock on October 4th, and those are some pretty nice moves. So whether it's AES or Aurora, you can trade futures, you can trade options, you can trade cryptocurrency. You just have to decide for your business what it is that you want to trade and how much time you want to devote to your trading every day. Wow, that was an amazing move right there. Look at this Aurora move. It came on at 7 o'clock this morning. 7 o'clock this morning, there was Aurora telling you that Bitcoin was most likely headed higher. And it went from 51,177 up to a high of 55,300. Ended up getting up to 55,757. That was a strong signal right there. That's a profitable signal right there. These signals pay for AES many times over. There's one last question out there that I see. If you have any others, let me know. But Thomas is just saying, what do we think in terms of time frame for Aurora? I would ideally like to shoot for the next 4 weeks, but there are some things that are critical that we need to make sure happen before we would release it. So sometime before, I'm going to say sometime by the end of the year. And if we get too close to the holidays, we won't release it during the holidays, but we would send out a communication letting you know that it's going to be available, and we would do a full-on release the first 2 weeks of January. So that's kind of our timing thought process. Kristen is insisting that she have time with her family over Christmas. I don't understand that, but
I'm so demanding.
yes, you are. Folks, I don't see any other questions or comments out there. If there's something we could help you with, we would love to. We take a lot of pride in helping you build your personal trading business. And if you have a desire to do this, there's absolutely no reason that you can't build a successful trading business. If you are half-hearted about it, if you come to it and you don't trade in sim, you don't practice, you don't learn, and you fail, and then you blame the system or you blame something other than yourself, that's just wrong. You can be successful with this. We have all the data and all the history to show it. You're going to have losing days, you're going to have losing trades, and that's going to be frustrating. It still frustrates me when that happens. But you stay the course, you trade the system, and the numbers and the system performance speak for themselves. So I'll leave it at that. All right, Kristen, any other thoughts or words of wisdom?
I do not have any. Just happy trading.
All right, folks, well, let us know what we can help you with in the live trading room, and appreciate all of you being part of our community. Please let us know what we can do to help you be a successful trader. I'm going to go ahead and close out.